By the dawn of the 19th century, the legend of Atlantis was no longer just an episode from the writings of Plato. It had become a powerful cultural phenomenon, captivating minds far beyond the bounds of academic debate. Writers, travelers, seekers of ancient wisdom, and early scientists all found themselves drawn to the mystery. Several forces shaped this renewed fascination. The 19th century was the age of discovery, an era when Europe began to realize that many ancient myths might hide traces of real events. Excavations at Pompeii, Troy, Nineveh, and Memphis revealed that stories once thought to be legends could indeed rest on truth. Each discovery seemed to whisper, myth is memory, just distorted by time. The 19th century was also the era of spiritual revival, a time of secret societies, occult teachings, and the search for lost wisdom. In this climate, Atlantis easily transformed from a mere lost island into a symbol of a vanished golden age, an age when humanity supposedly possessed forgotten powers and deeper spiritual knowledge. The myth no longer spoke only of sunken lands. It spoke of a time when human beings walked closer to the divine. The turning point came with the publication of a book by Ignatius Donnelly, an American writer, politician, and visionary. His work, Atlantis, the Antediluvian World, became an international sensation. Donnelly claimed that Atlantis was not a myth nor a philosophical allegory, but a real advanced civilization that once gave rise to all known cultures of the ancient world. He drew bold connections between myths, architecture, and the traditions of peoples across Europe, Africa, and the Americas. According to Donnelly, Atlantis perished in a cataclysmic disaster, a vast continent swallowed by the Atlantic Ocean, and its survivors spread knowledge of agriculture, navigation, metallurgy, and writing across the globe. Donnelly's book inspired a wave of followers. From that moment, Atlantis ceased to belong to scholars alone. It became a subject of fascination for scientists, adventurers, mystics, and dreamers alike. Theories multiplied. Some placed Atlantis in the Atlantic Ocean, others in South America, the Caribbean, Antarctica, or even the Arctic. Each idea reflected not just a search for truth, but a longing for paradise lost. In the mystical and occult circles of the time, Atlantis found a new voice, especially in the theosophical teachings of Helena Blavatsky. She described Atlantis not as a place, but as an era of humanity, a time when a race of enlightened beings, the Atlanteans, possessed supernatural powers and deep spiritual insight. According to Blavatsky, Atlantis fell not because of natural disaster, but because its people turned away from spirit and pursued power and matter. Thus, the myth became a moral allegory, the story of knowledge lost through pride. Inspired by these ideas, countless new versions of the legend appeared. The Atlanteans were now credited with flying machines, crystal energy, weather control, telepathy, and the ability to shape matter with thought. Fact, myth, and fantasy intertwined, creating a vision of Atlantis that was less a memory of the past and more a mirror of human imagination. By the end of the 19th century, Atlantis had become a symbol woven into modern art and literature. It appeared in adventure novels, utopias, and early science fiction. Newspapers, pamphlets, and explorers' journals all spoke of the lost world beneath the waves. The myth had transcended philosophy. It had become a universal metaphor, the symbol of a forgotten paradise, a mystery humanity was destined to chase. Yet, amid this fever of imagination, one truth remained. Most theories about Atlantis rested on speculation, not evidence. 19th century scholars observed the craze with curiosity, but also with skepticism. Still, something important was changing. For the first time, explorers began to test the myth scientifically, sending geological and oceanographic expeditions, studying the seabed, searching not just in legends, but in the depths of the earth itself. Atlantis was beginning its slow journey, from a philosophical dream to a scientific pursuit. By the beginning of the 20th century, the legend of Atlantis had finally crossed the boundary between philosophy, mythology, and mysticism, and entered the realm of scientific curiosity. The age of pure fantasy and esoteric speculation was giving way to something new. Researchers began to look for real evidence in archaeology, geology, and oceanography. For the first time in thousands of years, Atlantis became the subject of systematic scientific investigation. One of the most influential theories of the 20th century linked Atlantis to a real catastrophe, the massive volcanic eruption that destroyed the island of Santorini, also known as Thera, in the Aegean Sea. In the mid-century, archaeologists uncovered the buried Bronze Age city of Akrotiri, preserved under layers of ash. Streets, multi-story houses, vibrant frescoes, and even a drainage system revealed a remarkably advanced civilization. Scientists concluded that a powerful eruption in the 15th century BCE annihilated the island and crippled the Minoan civilization of Crete. The sudden destruction, the advanced culture, and the complete disappearance of a society, all of this echoed Plato's description of Atlantis. But one problem remained: geography. Santorini lay within the Mediterranean, not beyond the Pillars of Hercules, as Plato had written, and the timeline was wrong by thousands of years. A new wave of excitement emerged in 1968 when divers near the island of Bimini in the Bahamas discovered a strange underwater formation, a line of massive rectangular stone blocks that seemed to form a road or a wall. The photograph spread across the world, and headlines proclaimed the discovery of Atlantis itself. Yet further studies revealed that the Bimini Road was a natural geological formation, the result of erosion and the natural fracturing of limestone plates common in the region. Despite this, for many believers, Bimini became a lasting symbol, proof, at least in spirit, that Atlantis might still be out there. Another radical idea pointed far south, to Antarctica. In the mid-20th century, the American scholar Charles Hapgood proposed the theory of crustal displacement. According to his hypothesis, Antarctica had once been located in a warmer climate and could have been home to an ancient civilization. A sudden shift of Earth's crust, he claimed, moved the continent to the South Pole, freezing it under miles of ice. The theory captured imaginations worldwide, inspiring writers, explorers, and lovers of mysteries. But science told a different story. Modern geology shows that Antarctica has been covered by ice for millions of years, long before humans ever appeared. There could have been no civilization there, no Atlantis beneath the ice. Meanwhile, the 20th century witnessed the birth of underwater archaeology. With the invention of scuba diving, sonar mapping, and deep-sea submersibles, scientists could now explore the ocean floor like never before. They charted ridges, plateaus, and canyons across the Atlantic Ocean, searching for any trace of a lost continent. What they found instead was the truth written in stone. Every ridge and plateau, from the Mid-Atlantic Ridge to the Azores Plateau, had a tectonic origin. There was no hidden landmass beneath the waves. The idea of a continent sinking in a single day and night, as Plato described, was geologically impossible. By the late 20th century, scientists had largely dismissed the idea of Atlantis as a physical place, but the search continued, shifting toward the continental shelves of Morocco and Spain, the Caribbean islands, and even the Black Sea, where evidence of ancient floods still sparked speculation. Some researchers suggested that Plato might have altered his numbers, multiplied the years, or shifted geography deliberately. Not to record history, but to tell a moral story about the fall of a proud civilization. More and more, Atlantis came to represent something greater than geography. It became a symbol of humanity's eternal fear, the fear of collapse, of self-destruction, of losing balance and harmony with nature. The legend endured because it spoke to the human condition, that every great society carries within it the seeds of its own downfall. And in that sense, Atlantis was never lost. It was always a reflection of us. By the end of the 20th century, Atlantis had become a cornerstone of popular culture. It appeared in books, films, and documentaries, in journalistic investigations and university debates. The lost city continued to live, not beneath the ocean, but in the collective imagination of humankind, as a timeless reminder that legends can outlast even the civilizations that create them. The legend of Atlantis has survived for thousands of years, and even in the 21st century, it continues to live on. In scientific theories, cultural myths, films, books, and endless debates. Though mainstream science sees it more as a philosophical metaphor than a historical reality, fascination with Atlantis remains strong and enduring. Modern oceanographic data are clear. There are no sunken continents beneath the Atlantic Ocean, yet historians and archaeologists still search for a rational core in Plato's story, wondering if it might echo real catastrophes that occurred in prehistoric times. Over the centuries, Atlantis has transcended the realm of science. It has become a part of global mythology, a timeless symbol of mystery, loss, and human ambition. Its image appears everywhere, in movies, literature, comic books, video games, and countless works of imagination. Sometimes it's depicted as a sunken, high-tech civilization, a world of crystal towers and forgotten machines. Other times, it becomes a magical underwater kingdom, or the last trace of an ancient race blessed with divine wisdom and lost technology. From the fantastic novels of Jules Verne and H.G. Wells to modern blockbusters and animated epics, Atlantis continues to symbolize a lost golden age, a dream of a great past, of forgotten knowledge and harmony that humanity once possessed but lost. Today, Atlantis stands as a paradox. At once myth and metaphor, legend and lesson. For science, it remains an unsolved mystery, a hypothesis debated despite all geological evidence. For popular culture, it's an endless source of inspiration, a symbol of the eternal human longing for meaning, beauty, and balance. Above all, Atlantis is a mirror of ourselves. It reminds us that power, wealth, and technology cannot save a civilization that loses touch with morality, with harmony, and with the natural order. The story of Atlantis lives on, not just because it tells of a land swallowed by the sea, but because it speaks of human destiny. It's a story about how civilizations rise, flourish, and fall, and how, even after the greatest loss, there's always a chance to learn, remember, and begin again.